Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all for today's meeting on Thiruperunthurai, the great temple connected with the great saint of Tamil, Thiruvasakam, Manikavashakam. Today, as a change, we'll start with one of the verses of Thiruvasakam of Manikavashakam written about Thiruperunthurai. மாறி நின்று என்னை மயக்கிடும் வஞ்சப்புலன் ஐந்தின் வழி அடைத்த அமுதே ஊறி நின்று என் புல் எழு பரஞ்சோதி உள்ளவா காண வந்தருளாய் தோன்றலின் தெளிவே சிவபெருமானே திருப்பெருந்துறை உரை சிவனே ஈறு இல்லா பதங்கள் யாவையும் கடந்த இன்பமே என்னுடைய அன்பே. This is the beautiful verse of Thiruvasakam, and this was written in the beautiful temple of Thiruperunthurai, Avudaiyar, known as Avudaiyar Kovil, and that's the topic of discussion today. This temple is the holy abode of Saiva Siddhantam, and today's presentation we'll see in detail about this temple, how it's connected with Saiva Siddhantam, and the greatness of the temple for the Murti and the Marga which it prescribes, and also about the architectural aspects of this great temple, wonderful temple, one of the best temples in this Tamil country. I would rate this as one of the best temples in this Tamil country of the late period of Nayaks. And we shall go around to see this. Thiruperunthurai is one of the greatest temples in our Tamil country that is associated with Saiva Siddhanta philosophy. The temple is associated with the great Saivite saint Manikavashakar, who gave this world this wonderful composition of Thiruvasakam. The Saivite Thirumarais are 12 in numbers, and this Thiruvasakam forms the part of the 8th Tirumurai. And this is in all praise of Shiva. And it is said that the person who reads Thiruvasakam will be really longing to be one with Shiva. It says, Thiruvasagattu Murugadar, Uruvasagattukkum Murugar. So the longing of the soul to be with one with Shiva is very beautifully explained in this Thiruvasakam. And that's a great, and that Thiruvasakam was born here in this beautiful temple of Thiruperunthurai. Today, it's known as Avudaiyar Kovil, and it is located in the Pudukkottai district, very close to Aranthangi, about 16 kilometers from Aranthangi, a very remote village and a very beautiful temple built by the Nayak kings, who were not very big, rulers. They were small timers. But in spite of that, being a small timers, who are the chieftains of that area, under the Tanjavur Nayaks or Madurai Nayaks, we do not know exactly, but then these people have spent their money and lot of energy has been put into creating this wonderful temple of Avudaiyar Kovil. Manikavashkar was given the Jnana Upadesa by Shiva here, and that's why this temple is so important to all the Saivites all over the world. And it's connected with Manikavashakar, and there are many legends of this instance of how this temple had come up. Today, as I said, it's more known as Avudaiyar Kovil, located in the Pudukkottai district of Tamil Nadu. Though this temple had existed from 9th century onwards, built during the Pandya times by Manikavashakar, this temple has seen the major renovations during the time of Nayaks during the 16th century, and today it stands as an architectural marvel of the Dravidian architecture. The temple is dedicated to Jnana Marga. We have different margas of bhakti, jnanam, bhakti marga, yoga is totally dedicated to the jnana marga of realizing the art inside you. And it does not have any idol worship in this temple. Here, it's a very, very rare thing to see. The Shiva is not there in the Linga Rupam. Instead, the base, Avudai, which is known as Avudai, the Soma Sutram, alone is there. God is named as Atmanada, representing the Atman residing inside you. The Atman, which is what is reflected here as God, and he is given the name Atmanada Swami. He is representing the invisible Atman, which is residing in every one of us. And the Devi here is known as Yogamba. And she is represented as Yoga Pitam with Devi Padam on top of it. And there is no Rupam for Devi here. This is a very rare phenomena that you find in this Tamil country, where the God inside the sanctum does not have any Rupam, and the Devi, the presiding deity consort, is also represented without any form. So this is a margam that has been developed to realize oneself, and that's called the Jnana Margam. This temple preaches about the Jnana Marga for every devotee to attain Shiva. This temple was built by Manika Vashakar after he was given the Upadesa by Shiva in the form of a guru. The story of Manika Vashakar, Shiva goes all the way out to prove the greatness of his devotee. And his love, Shiva's love to hear the verses of Tiruvashakam in chaste Tamil. So, this is one place where Shiva went out of the way to prove the greatness of his devotee, and he was totally excited to hear the wonderful verses of Tiruvashakam, which really melts one person there. Listening to Tiruvashakam, one really melts. Manika Vashakar, the devotee of Shiva, who realized the God, is given much prominence in this temple here. The presiding deity of the temple, he is the presiding deity. Manika Vashakar is the presiding deity of this temple, and all the utsavams are held only for Manika Vashakar. All the utsavams are held only for Manika Vashakar and not for Shiva. So the devotee gets the much importance here, and this is a totally a different type of temple from the normal ones. We shall see this temple with the background of Manika Vashakar, his life, and how he got this divine grace of Shiva. It's a very important thing that we should know about this background to understand this temple in clarity. The temple that you see here on the slide is the Thiruperunthurai temple. In the South Tamil Nadu, 15 kilometers from the capital city of Madurai, there's a small village known as Thiruperunthurai. Manika Vashakar was born here in the Adi Shaiva family. He was named after the god of the temple as Vadavuran. Manika Vashakar was well versed in all the subjects and Shastras by his 16th year, and he was respected by all for his scholarly knowledge that he had on all Shastras, Vedas, Upanishads, everything. The Pandyan king at that time was known as Varaguna Pandya, who ruled from Madurai from 865 to 885 CE. He was also known as Arimartha Pandyan. This Pandyan king came to know about the greatness of Vadavurar, and he appointed this Vadavurar as his prime minister. Vadavurar lived up to the expectations of the king and all the others and proved his worth as the minister and earned a special recognition from the king. In spite of all the powers and the status that was given to Vadavurar, he remained very humble and he was a devoted Shiva Bhakta. His mind was always centered around Shiva. And that was Vadavurar. One day, the king got the information that very good of Arabian horses were arriving by ship to the Chola port of Tonde. The king wanted to strengthen his army and he wanted to buy these horses. So he assigned this task to his minister Vadavurar with a lot of gold to buy these horses for his army. Vadavurar left Madurai on this mission of buying the horses, and on his way to the port city, he rested for a day in this place, which came to be known later as Thiruperunthurai. When he was resting there, early in the morning, Vadavurar heard recitations of Saiva Agamas coming out from nearby gardens. Attracted by this chants of Saiva Agamas, Vadavurar goes there, and there he sees an old person seated under a tree, and that tree was known as Kurundai Maram. And he was teaching the meaning of the Agamas to a group of people. The face of the teacher was glowing like gold, and the smile on his face attracted Vadavurar. And not only Vadavurar, everyone there. The eyes that had the power of a huge magnet attracting the divine grace. So Vadavurar sees this great teacher who's seated there under the Kurunda tree, goes there and requests him to bless with moksha. That is, moksha is without rebirth. The Guru was pleased and gave him the Jnana Upadesa of the Panchakshara mantra of Om Namah Shivaya by placing his foot on the Vadavurar's head. This contact of Shiva brought in a total change in Vadavurar. There was an electric shock all over his body. His Kundalini got awakened and immediately went into trance and he got one with Shiva. It was Shiva himself who had appeared as Guru and blessed Vadavurar to spread the Shiva Anubhavam to this world. When Vadavurar came out of his trance and saw there the Guru, his disciples were all missing. They were not there. Then he realized that Shiva himself had come there and he started singing in praise of Shiva. The first composition of Shiva Puranam, great praise of Shiva, which is sung by all the Shaiva devotees even today. Shiva Puranam is one of the greatest hymns of Saiva Siddhanta and Saiva chanting that goes in every household even today. Namah Shivaya Valga, Nadan Tal Valga, Imetpoludum en Nenjil, Ningadan Tal Valga, Koladi Anda Gurumani Tal Valga, Agamam Agi Nindru Aniyappan Tal Valga, Yegan Anegan, Iraimanadi Valga. And it goes on and on like that. And he says, Yesanadi Potri, Yendayadi Potri, Deshanadi Potri, Shivan Shevadi Potri, Neyate Ninda Nimalanadi Potri, Maya Peraparakum Bannanadi Potri, Shira Perundurai Em Devanadi Potri, Arada Imbam Marulum Malaye Potri. Shira Perundurai is the name of Thiruperunthurai, which is mentioned in Tevaram, in the Tiruvasakam of Manikavasakar. So this Shiva Puranam is the first composition of Manikavasakar that he sang in Thiruperunthurai. Vadavoorar totally forgot the purpose of his visit, and he started to build a temple in the place where he was given the Jnana Upadesa. With all the money that king had given for purchasing the Arabian horses, he was totally involved in bhakti and composes many songs on Shiva, ending up with the verse of Thiruperunthurai Urai Shivane. All his compositions were like that of the gem, which is known as Manikyam in Tamil. And that's why he gets the name Manikya Vasakar. Vadavoorar name is not known, and he is known more only as Manikya Vasakar. In the meantime, the king came to know about this and sent a word to him to come to Madurai with the horses. Manikya Vasakar surrenders to Shiva, not knowing what to do at this juncture. He hears a voice to go and tell the king the horses will be arriving in Madurai on the day of Avani Moolam. The king, not satisfied with Manikya Vasakar, imprisons him and waits for the day as he said. On that day, Shiva converted all the foxes in the forest as horses and made the devas as the riders of these horses. And he himself, dressed as a horse trader, entered the Madurai city and gave all the horses to the king. The king was pleased and he released Manikya Vasakar. That night, all the horses once again became foxes and went ahead and bit all the horses in the stable and started howling and ran down the streets of Madurai and disappeared into the forest. Furiated by these, the king was furious. He imprisoned Manikya Vasakar again and tortured him. He made him stand in the hot sandbed of river Vaigai. By the grace of God Shiva, there was a flash flood in the river, and the river banks gave way, and flood waters started entering the city, creating a great devastation. The king ordered that one person from every family to be deputed without fail to repair the leakage of the bunds. And there was an old lady by name Vandi who made a living by selling puttu. She did not have anyone to be deputed for the king's order. She prays to Sundareswara to help her. Shiva comes there in the form of a laborer to Vandi and offers to do the job on behalf of her, for which he demands the puttu to be given to him as advance coolie for his work. And he takes the puttu, and after eating that fully, satisfied, filling his stomach, Shiva goes to the place of work. Instead of doing the work, he kept the basket under his head and started to sleep under the tree. The king, who came to see the work in progress, saw this man sleeping happily, and he immediately beat him with the cane. The pain was felt by everyone in this world, including the king and the ministers around him. That time, Shiva disappeared from there and the flood waters receded totally. The king understood that this was the act of Shiva to prove the greatness of his devotee Manikya Vasakar. He immediately fell at the feet of Manikya Vasakar and pleaded to be pardoned and promised him with more funds to complete his Thiruperunthurai temple. And that temple of Thiruperunthurai was completed. Manikya Vasakar took leave from that place and started visiting many Shiva sthalams. Spent much of a time of his life in Tiruvuttira Kosamangai near Rameshwaram, and finally reached the great temple of the Saivates, Chidambaram. had the darshan of Nataraja and stayed on the outskirts of the city in a small Nandavanam and started visiting the temple every day. One day,
Hollywood.
Shiva came to Manikavasaka's place in the form of Tillaival Andanar and asked Manikavasaka to recite the Tiruvasakam. As he recited this, he copied that recitation on a palm leaf. He requested Manikavasaka to sing Tiruvembavai and also Tirukkovai. As he sang this, these were also copied by Shiva, and after copying all this, he signed it saying that these were the verses of Manikavasaka, copied by Alagiya Tiruchetrambalam Udayar. And that manuscript that Shiva had copied was left on the Panchaksharapadi of Chitsabha at Chidambaram. Tillai Andanas read those manuscripts and asked Manikavasaka as to what is the meaning of those poems, to which he said the meaning of these poems was Nataraja or of the Tiruchitrambalam. At that time, a Jyoti emerged and Manikavasaka entered into the Jyoti and went one with and got merged one with Nataraja. He merged with him and he became a great devotee. From this legend of Manikavasaka, we come to know the importance of bhakti and the true form of a bhakta who is considered much more than the God himself. Also conveying the inner meaning of the Atman as the God within you who emerges out of the true bhakti. The Atman inside every human being emerges beautifully as a Jyoti when the true bhakti is given there. And that was the legend of the great Manikyavasaka, which has to be the background for us to know about this greatness of this temple. The temple of Atmanadar in Avudaiyar Koil is a very unusually south-facing, not like any other Shiva temple which normally faces east or west. South is the direction of Shiva as Guru Dakshinamurti. Since this place is where Shiva gave the Jnana Upadesha to Manikavasaka, it is also called the temple of Dakshinamurti. This temple, there is no linga inside the sanctum. The base alone is seen there, and that base is called as Avudai in Tamil, and that's why this temple is known as Avudaiyar Koil. Shiva is in Arupam, the formless, which conveys the Atman in you, which is also formless, denoting the God to be realized in the formless manner, knowing the formless Atman within you. And that is the secret of this great temple, realizing the Atman which is formless within you is what is preached here in this Atmanatha Swami temple of Thiruperunthurai. Unlike all the Shiva temples, there is no Nandi in the front of Shiva, nor there is a Dvajastambam or a Balipeetam, which is a composite part of any temple in the Dravidian style of architecture or in any temple throughout this country where worship is conducted. This is totally deviating from the regular concept to be seen without Nandi, Dvajastambam and Balipita. The Rajagopuram of the temple, which you see here in this photograph, is totally different. Normally, when you see the Rajagopuram in any of the temples, all these Rajagopurams will be seen with full of stucco images of different forms of Shiva and other things. Here, you don't find any image of Shiva or any other god or goddesses. Only the Dwarapalakas are seen at the different levels of the Gopuram. Everything is just represented as a small temple. This is a very, very unusual form of a Rajagopuram that you can see in this Tamil country. The formless aspect also paves the path for the Jnana Marga, where we meditate on different level of the chakras, starting from the Mooladhara of our body to Sahasrara, and to realize the self, the Atman, only by meditation and not by the rituals alone. So this is one that propagates Jnana Marga to realize, to awaken your Kundalini up to the Sahasrara and realize the Atman within you. And that Atman, once you realize, you become one with the God. And rituals alone is not required to realize the Atman in you. The Avudaiyar, which you see there in the sanctum, is called as Pranava Peetam. And it's also known as Chaturveda Peetam. A silver kuvalai, a small vessel-like thing in the shape of a linga, is placed in the center of this Avudaiyar, and Abhishekams are performed. At times this is kept and alakarams are also done. Normally, when you go to this temple and worship the God inside the sanctum that you see here, which is seen with the silver door, the Avudaiyar is seen with the kuvalai on top. Everybody thinks that this is the linga which is under worship. Actually, this is a small silver vessel which is just kept on top of the Avudaiyar, and that can be seen very clearly in many times when they do the Deeparadhana and other pujas. This is how it looks. The Avudaiyar base is seen there. Above that, this kuvalai is placed. And that's how this Atmanadar looks there. The rear wall of the sanctum has 27 small oil lamps in the circular form that you see here, representing the 27 stars. Above these lights that are representing the stars, you see 3 lights are placed in a row, with the center light slightly above the other 2. These 3 lights represent the eyes of Shiva. They are supposed to be Surya, Chandra, and Agni, the Trinetram. The Trinetram of Shiva is seen here, and the third eye is Agni. That's what it represents. And that is a very unique feature of this Atmanatha Swami temple at Thiruperunthurai. In front of the sanctum, there's a huge black granite slab which is placed. And this granite slab is called as Padikal. This Padikal is about 3 feet above the ground level, and it measures 7 feet by 6 feet. The Nevedyams for the god are offered here on this Padikal. Every day during the 6 Kala Pujas, boiled rice, that's Pulungal Arisi, with curry made of bitter gourd, pavakai, and kire, mulakire or arakire, is offered in steaming hot condition on top of the slab. The hot steam that emerges out of this offering is offered as a Nivedyam, which is a very, very unique way of worship in this temple, which is never seen anywhere in this world. The Avudaiyar Kovil, if Shiva is Arupam, even the Nevedyam goes to Shiva as Arupam in the form of the what comes out, emerges out of the hot Nevedyam is what is offered there. And one more interesting feature of this temple is that the sanctum is situated about 150 feet inside the main entrance. It is right deep inside 150 feet from the main entrance, which is on the main road. If anyone crosses the main road, the entrance, the main Rajagopuram entrance, there are 3 prakaras to reach the sanctum. But once a person crosses this Rajagopuram, his shadow is casted inside the sanctum. It's a very unique feature which no architecture, no theories do give a proper explanation till today as to how this happens. If somebody is crossing the main road, immediately the shadow is casted and the sanctum becomes dark. You can see it with your own eyes even today. If somebody is there in the front of the temple, the shadow is casted there. People believe that the deity recognizes every devotee who comes to the temple or to his vision, in spite of whether he is coming inside the temple or not. He is being blessed soul. This is a very, very unique feature. Every prakaram there is an opening. And in spite of that opening and the light coming at 3 levels, this shadow of the person in the front is casted directly inside the sanctum, and the sanctum becomes very dark. Absolutely amazing feature that you can see in this temple. The pujas in this temple are performed by a group of Brahmins known as Nambiyar Brahmins. Just like Thillai Muvayiram Andanar, this is a group of 300 Brahmins, 300 families who are offering the puja, and they do this puja as per the Vaidika Sampradaya, not per the Agama Sampradaya or Tantric Sampradaya. Vaidika Margam, which is Veda Margam. They offer these pujas with Veda Sampradaya, and unlike the other Shiva temples, Shivacharyas perform the puja with Agama Sampradaya. Here, the pujas are offered only by these Brahmins in Vaidika Sampradaya, and all these Brahmins who are known as Nambiyar Brahmins hail from Vijayanagar Gotra, which is a very, very rare Gotra in the Brahmin community. Vijayanagar Gotra is a very, very rare group of Brahmins, and these Brahmins are found only here, and they are the ones who offer this puja every day to Atmanatha Swami. It is said that Vijayanagar Rishi was born out of Agni, and they were taught by the Atmanatha Swami himself. When Manikavashakar came there to get the Upadesa, Shiva was teaching this Saiva Agamas to many of the disciples. And it is said these Nambiyar Brahmins were the group of people who were getting the initiation from Shiva himself. So that is the greatness of this particular temple. Daily, the 6 Kala Pujas, Dakshinamurti Sahasranama is chanted and Deeparadhana is offered to the god. Normally, in any temple, when you go there, the Deeparadhana is offered to the god and it's brought back to the devotees to have it taken. But here, Deeparadhana is only shown to the god and it is never offered to the devotees. The devotees are given only Vibhuti as the prasadam. The Vibhuti prasadam alone is being given here in this temple, and no Deeparadhana is offered to the devotees, which again is a very, very unique and rare feature that you can see in this temple of Thiruperunthurai. The Devi temple is known as, the Devi in this temple, she is known as Yogambika. What you see in this picture is the Devi shrine. She is also known as Yoganayaki. She is represented in the formless way with a yoga pitam and 2 padams kept on top of it. The Devi shrine is to the right of Atmanatha Swami Sannidhi, and it's a separate shrine. The shrine is small and it has the entrance through the side and not on the straight. Devotees can have the darshan of Devi only through the window that you see here, the stone window, the jolly window that you see here, through which you can see the Devi there, which is represented as Yoga Peetam with two padukas on top of it alone, which represent Devi. This is a very, very unique feature of this particular temple. This is how it looks inside the sanctum. The Yoga Peetam is there and the two padukas are seen there, and she is Yoganayaki or Yogambika. And unlike other places, Lalita Sahasranama is chanted during all the 6 Kala Pujas here, which makes this as a great temple of Devi worship, where she is represented as the mother goddess. So this is again a very, very unique feature of this particular temple of Thiruperunthurai. To the left of Devi Shrine and almost behind the main sanctum is called the Kurunda Moolam. This is the exact place where Shiva was given the Jnana Diksha. Shiva gave the Jnana Diksha to Manikavashakar under the Kurunda tree. A stone image of this tree with the image of Shiva in the form of Guru and Manikavashakar in front of him is seen etched on this stone image. And steel fence is placed all around, and 6 Kala Pujas are also offered to this Kurunda tree, which is known as Adi Moolam. And when the Kavacha is applied, it's how it looks. The golden Kavacha is seen here, representing the Kurunda tree and the Manikavashakar and Shiva there. And this is how it is seen there on special occasions with the golden Kavacha. This temple, there is no Somaskanda or forms of Shiva image that is worshipped. In place of the Somaskanda or any other Utsav Murti, only Manikavashakar is worshipped. All the Utsavams here, in all the Utsavams, Manikavashakar is the presiding deity. These are not called the Brahmotsavams like in any other temple, but they are all called as Bhaktotsavams. This is because Manikavashakar attained Mukti in the Jyoti form and united one with Shiva. Hence, he himself is considered as Shiva. The elevation of a Bhakta to the form of the God is what is shown here by representing Manikavashakar as the Utsav Murti of this temple. There is no image of Shiva or Parvati or any other different deities that is normally seen in Shiva temples. Here, the Utsav Murti is only Manikavashakar. And this is the beautiful image of Manikavashakar that you see in the sanctum of the temple. Manikavashakar is being given all the importance of being the god in this temple. Atmanatha Swami temple is south facing with 3 inner prakaras, the 4th being the wide streets which form the 4th prakara. There is no Dvajastambam Balipeetam in this temple. As usual, Sannidhis of Chandikeshwara is also not there, and nothing is there in this particular temple. The only sculpture that we see is at the base of the huge Gopuram built in granite. On its north side of the Gopuram, there is a small image of Subramanya, and that is called as Thiruperunthurai, Urai Kumarar. And there are many inscriptions in the base level of this particular Rajagopuram. A projection from the main Rajagopuram is a very beautiful mandapam, which is raised on a higher level, and the artistic pillars of this mandapam has beautiful sculptural representation facing the road. These sculptures are of outstanding beauty. This is facing the main road, which is full of traffic, lot of buses, vehicles, and so many people crisscross this road from the morning till evening or late night. And this Avudaiyar Koil is a very dry, dusty place. Dust comes and settles down totally on these figures. It's pathetic to see these wonderful creations are fully covered with dust. We could hardly enjoy the beauty of this. The maintenance of this temple is very, very bad. In spite of this being one of the architectural wonders, it has been maintained in such a bad condition that we feel ashamed why we had come to this particular temple to see. Many of us feel so sad that the government is not taking any efforts, or the Adhinam, which is maintaining this particular temple, not taking much efforts to maintain this wonderful temple. What you see here is the Vikshadana form of Shiva. It's seen standing in a majestic position, holding the begging bowl in his left arm and the right hand feeding the deer. A beautiful representation of Vikshadana. The Bhutagana is also seen there by the side, carrying the bowl of Vikshapatra. A wonderful representation of the majestic Urdhva Thandav Murti. He's seen with 8 arms, his left leg lifted above the head. And he stands on top of the Apaspara, who's down below, and Parvati is seen to the left, and a Gana is seen here down below, playing the Kudamula. This side you have the Brahma, and that side you have the Vishnu. This has been sculpted very intricately with all the details of the hairstyle and ornamentations and drapery. It's one of the marvelous creation, and this statue stands almost 10 feet tall. What a beautiful creation of 16th century. Amazing creation of this great Urdhva Thandav Murti. Look at that. Look at the dust that has settled down there. You can hardly enjoy the beauty of this great masterpiece of creations. The next image that you see is that of the Kali, who is seen with 12 arms in a dancing pose. The Agni Makutam is seen, and there's a snake that is coiled around the Agni Makutam. Her eyes are round and bulging out in anger. Her 2 arms are crossed over the palm and 2 hands are hung down. Stunned, she is stunned. Her expression is stunned. She's unknowing what to do when she saw Shiva doing the Urdhva Thandava. She felt shameful, helpless, and she accepts her defeat. And that's the beautiful way in which this Kali is being expressed here. Wonderful creation of Kali that you see on that pillar. The next comes is a very beautiful image of Subramanya Swami. He is known as Villendu Velavan. He stands majestically with his left leg bent and rested on the peacock and the right hand holding the arrow. His left hand holds a long bow. The upper hands have the Shakti and Vajra item. The crown and the other ornaments of Durga is very beautifully represented. The peacock that he's standing is amazing. You can see the beak of the peacock holding a coiled snake. And the details of the feather, the peacock feather, is so beautifully etched in this wonderful sculpture. Rishabhantaka, the image of Shiva reclining on the bull. Shiva stands with the legs crossed, his right hand kept gently on the bull, and left hand on his leg. The upper arms hold the battle axe and the antelope. The bull is seen gently licking Shiva's hand with a long tongue. What a beautiful creation. A wonderful masterpiece of Shiva as Rishabhantaka. Shankara Narayana, the form of Shiva and Vishnu in one, depicted with Abhaya Hasta holding an axe. Vishnu is seen with the arm resting on the thigh and holding the conch. The dress and the jewelry are different on the two sides, and this is represented very beautifully here as Shankara Narayana. An amazing depiction of Narasimha with 10 arms and the leg folded on which he has kept the Hiranyakashipu is made to lay down. Narasimha tears the stomach of Hiranyakashipu, pulling out all his intestines and killing the demon. And his hands are holding the intestines right above his head. A very beautifully depicted form of Narasimha that you see in a Shiva's temple. These are all the creations that were made later during the 16th century by the Nayak kings. Though the temple we saw originally was meant for Jnanamargam, these few sculptures there add beauty to this wonderful temple. Now we enter into the temple. As we enter through the Mahamandapam, a big mandapam, it's called as Periya Mandapam and also known as Raghunatha Bhupala Mandapam. There are two huge pillars to the south. The masterpiece of the temple sculptures are seen here. One is Aghora Veerabhadra and the other one is Agni Veerabhadra. The two figures that you see here are over 16 feet in height with multiple arms and sculpted to perfection. All these things combine the part of the pillar on which it has been done. It is something not different kept with the pillar. But along with the pillar, it has been sculpted out in such a beautiful form. Look at this. This is the Agni Veerabhadra. Again, a beautiful representation. Unfortunately, these figures cannot be photographed very well because of the light. It's open on four sides and the light flows throughout this area, and it's very difficult to capture a very good photograph of these two beautiful sculptures at any point of time. And these two beautiful sculptures are attached to a pillar, I said. And these pillars are carved in such a beautiful manner, depicting different temples at different levels. It is said all these temples that are etched on these pillars represent the Padalpetra Sthalams. And once going around these pillars, you have the darshan of all the Shiva temples or the Padalpetra Sthalams. And this is how the bhaktas do it every day, going around this temple and these pillars and having the vision of all the Padalpetra Sthalams. A very unique feature in this particular temple. Right opposite to these sculptures are two massive Dwarapalakas, very majestic and typical in Vijayanagar style of execution. The left leg of these Dwarapalakas are held on the head of a lion, and these are seen with intricate designs and workmanship. 16 feet tall, huge Dwarapalaka, amazing beauty. Look at that. Look at the lion below on which he stands. Chandi and Mundi, the two Dwarapalakas of Shiva, are seen here, majestically represented. On the slightly raised platform of the center mandapam are four huge pillars with four horses are seen riding and leaping Arabian horses. These horses are beautifully represented and that are clearly bringing out the pedigree breed of the Arabian horses. These horses are seen with very intricate jewelry around their neck, the ropes The buckles tied to the mouth of the horse and held by the riders are so natural. The horse riders are almost robust and typically dressed in Vijayanagar style with all the vivid details and holding the spear. Look at the horse figures. And these horse figures also, you find the white patches. These are all the dust that has come and settled down on these wonderful sculptures. Look at these horses, the horse riders. Massive horses. You can see the mouth open of the wide open mouth of the horses, the teeth clearly seen. Look at the ornaments on the neck of the horses. What a beautiful representation of the pedigree breed of Arabian horses that you see here in this wonderful masterpiece creations, a typical Vijayanagar style of execution. Look at that. Look at the details of the teeth. Look at the ornamentation around the neck. Have a look at the buckle, the rope, two ropes tied to one, and he's holding it majestically there. What a wonderful creation. It's an amazing creation that you could see here in this temple of Avudaiyar Koil. A very detailed representation of the yalis and the portrait image of the builders are also seen in the mandapam. The roof of this mandapam is painted with natural colors depicting Dakshinamurti, Kamadagana, and Shiva in Vishwarupam. All these paintings were done in the 16th century by the great Nayakis. Today, lack of maintenance and knowing or unknowingly, they have left it to deteriorate to the great extent. And today, we are seeing these paintings in a very, very pathetic condition. What a huge depiction of Shiva Vishwarupam. This is almost about 30 feet in length. What a beautiful depiction of Shiva in the Vishwarupam. You see here, you see the Dakshinamurti. What a beautiful Dakshinamurti. Seen here as Kamadagana Murti here. What a beautiful natural colors that they have used. Because of lack of maintenance, we have lost this wonderful treasure of our Indian paintings. Look at that, designs that they have created there. Most of these designs are whitewashed today. They have been whitewashed in the name of maintenance. The Yali sculptures and the portrait sculptures of the builders are amazing. Look at the detailing of the Yali. An amazing beauty of Yalis that you see here. Look at the intricate designs of the Yali. The ear, look at that ear portion of it, which also represents so beautifully. And it's like a floral design. Look at the wide open mouth of the Yali and the teeth that is protruding out. Look at the jewels around the neck of the Yali and the designs all over the body. Amazing work of art. Amazing work of art that you could see in this temple. It's not only that, these were built by very, very small time chieftains of this area, whose name is also not known very well. They had the desire, they had the bhakti, they had pulled out all their small resources, whatever they had. They are not big time kings, but they have created this wonderful thing of the Vijayanagar style in this particular temple of Thiruperunthurai. Now we come to the old Manikavashikar temple, which is again Manikavashikar. It's there on to the left of it. The sanctum is facing east, and there's an image of Manikavashikar inside in standing posture. This is a composite temple by itself with prakaras all around. The most beautiful feature of this is being the Kumbha Pancharas that you see in this temple. These Kumbha Pancharas are very intricately and very beautifully etched out and very artistically done. Now, the lotus medallion that you see normally in all the temples, here, with a difference, it is every small thing that you see here is the hood of a snake. All the snakes are arranged in such a lovely manner that it represents like a lotus. A very beautiful representation of hood of a snake in the lotus medallion that is there on the top. An amazing feature that you could see in this temple. The prakara of this temple has beautiful paintings of the 17th century, which are totally damaged and due to neglect, water seepage, and soot that is coming from the torches when their processions are held. And it is so bad to see this 17th century painting with natural colors are in this very bad shape, which represents so much of Shiva Purana in that. Look at that. All the Nayak period paintings are all gone for all. Look at the beautiful way in which they have depicted a sari. A full wall of the prakara, you find a sari. Beautifully designed sari of those days, 17th century, with two borders and the center portion of the body in red color with floral designs. What a beautiful way of representing a sari that was owned by those ladies in 17th century. Very beautifully given here. An amazing work of art, an art that we totally lost forever now. Coming out of this, you enter into the Tyagaraja Mandapam, which is on the north side, the western corner of the third Pragara. It's a beautiful Mandapam known as Tyagaraja Mandapam. The pillars are huge and very attractive, and the center of the Mandapam, a wonderful stone chain is seen hanging from the roof, and north of the Mandapam is the Unjal Mandapam, and that is located on a higher elevation, and the Unjal Utsavam is held here in this Tyagaraja Mandapam every year. Look at the beautiful pillar designs that is there in the Tyagaraja Mandapam. The roof designs of these mandapams are extraordinary work of art represented, and it looks as though it is made of wood, and the corners are finished with special feature known as Mukkumbu Nagapasam. We have seen the iron nail. You can see something like iron nails have been etched out on this. It's a very rare to see such wonderful Kodungai designs. This is the cantilever design, which is normally made for the water to slope down. The roof is also seen with a hole at one place. Some say it was a bullet which was shot there. But the archaeologists say that it was the artist or the sculptor's skill who had made a hole there to show how thin he could bring out a big granite slab and still make it rigid and have the holding capacity. He had deliberately created to show his skill. Look at that, Mukkumbu and Nagapasam. The second prakara is entered through the second gopuram leading to a very artistic mandapam known as Panchakshara Mandapam. This is also known as Kanakasabha Mandapam. The center portion is a square with corridors all around. Pillars of this mandapam have exquisite sculptures of the Pandyan king, Arimartha Pandyan, Shiva as Aswanadar, and also known as Kudurai Swami in the local area there, Manika Vashakar as the minister and as the Saiva devotee. All these sculptures are seen there. Look at that wonderful depiction of the Arimartha Pandyan, Varakuda Pandyan. Is seen, the king, the Pandyan king is seen there in the seated position here. Manikavashakar, or the Thiruperunthurai, as he was known there, as the Prime Minister of this Varaguna Pandian, is seen with royal robes, with a beautiful headgear, and all these pearls and other things, necklaces hanging around him as a Prime Minister of Varaguna Pandian. The next sculpture that we see is Manikavashakar as an ardent devotee of Shiva who gave up everything, shaved off his head, and started wearing Rudraksha Mala and just a loin cloth around his waist. And that was the devoted Manikavashakar that you see here. You can also see Shiva who came to rescue Manikavashakar as Kudara Swami. Shiva is seen riding the horse and he is worshipped today in this temple as Kudare Swami. Manikavashakar temple, a new temple was built about 150 years ago in this Prakaram by the Thiruperunthurai Adinam, under whose care this temple is there. The sanctum of Manikavashakar is facing east and built on a small Prakara around it. And the Adina Mahaguru's sculptures are also seen in the pillars. And there are many paintings around the Prakara of this temple depicting the Thiruvilayadal Puranam. Unfortunately, even this 150-year-old paintings that have been done are damaged to a very great extent by the devotees, by scratching it on them and doing whatsoever is possible to damage these wonderful creations of 150 years back. They created the entire Thiruvilayadal Puranam, and that's also gone forever. Now we come into the second Prakaram. As we enter to this Prakaram, it is called as Thillai Mandapam. It's also called as Nartana Sabha. The images of Patanjali and Vyagrapada are seen as sculptures in this Mandapam. But the most attractive piece of this Mandapam is that Koravan Korati. The images of two Koratis and one Koravan there. Look at that. Beautiful depiction of Korati. What a beautiful depiction of Korati with so many jewelry that is adorned on our ears, head, nose, shoulders, and our neck. What a beautiful depiction of Korati. Amazing work of art. Look at this other Korati. She's got a big headgear around her. And look at the jewelry that she's wearing. Look at the necklace that she's wearing. Amazing beauty. Unfortunately, these images are kept inside the cage as we see in Perur. But Perur image, at least you have a slightly bigger opening for us to see it. But here, the grill that is put around these images is very small, very difficult to photograph, very difficult to even see and enjoy this thing. Amazing beauty. Look at the Koravan. Look at his mustache. Veera Maravan. Look at his headgear. Look at the way he is holding his sword. There is a story. This is an outstanding sculpture representing Koravan and Kurti. There is a story of Koravan and Kurti where in love and they were opposed by the leader who wanted to marry the Kurti, who was so beautiful like that of a Rati. So this Koravan comes along with this Kurti to the Sannadhi of Atmanadar and surrenders himself to the god Atmanadar. God gave him a knife with which he killed a chief, and these Koravan and Kurati are given the status of small deities in this temple. They are given the small deity status in this temple. Now, the most important and architectural marvel of this temple is the Kodungai designs. In those days, when anybody wanted to construct a temple, there's normally, like any other building contract that we enter into, there's a contract that has been entered between the architect or the builder of the temple, the Stapati, and the person who builds. In that, they always add certain vachakams. In that vachakam, one is that the Stapati will say, we cannot recreate the Kodungai of our Avudaiyar Koil. Barring that and few other things, we are prepared to take up any task that you give it. To that extent, this Kodungai designs, the roof, the cantilever from the roof, which diverts the water or the rainwater to fall down very smoothly around, is so beautifully done, as if you see in the Kerala houses. This Kodungai is done in wood there. Here, this is created in hard granite slab, stone, single piece of hard granite, which takes the shape and also extends. This is all a single piece of granite stone in which they have created all these small entrance into that. All these things represent different types of rods, all etched out of a single piece of stone. Different types of rod. This is the greatness of this temple. Look at the Kodungai designs. Look at the way they have represented the rivets as if it's done on the wood, riveted designs. You can see that, how beautiful it is. It is a gap between this and that. This rod is not an iron rod. It's just made out of the granite stone and different shapes. You can see it here. And there's a gap that you can put your hand around and go around this. That's the gap that they have created. Every small piece is a single piece of granite. Multiple granite pieces are arranged to make this Kodungai. This is one of the greatest features of this great temple, which is known for its very intricate designs. Look at that. Masterpiece creations. You can never see in any of the temples around South India. Look at the Kodungai designs with sculptures all on top. Every level of this temple you will find this Kodungai design. Look at the designs that they have made in the rafts. Look at the beautiful thing. It represents something like a torch steel that we are using in our constructions today. Murukku Kambi, they call it. It represents like Murukku Kambi. What a beautiful creation. And the edges are beautifully completed with this Mukkambu and Nagapasam. And sometimes with stone chains also. Look at that Nagapasam and the Mukkambu. Amazing beauty of this. The temple of Thiruperunthurai is based on the yogic cult, and that was practiced by the great yogis and jnanis of this land, and that followed the path of having the temple as Mooladhara Chakra. And the other 6 levels of chakra are different forms of the deity as Arupam. The other temples are based on Saiva Siddhanta, principles of Sariyai, Kiriyai, and Yoga. That is cleaning the place, doing the rituals, and then going into yoga. But this temple is based only on Yoga Marga or the Jnana Marga, which is why this temple is totally different from the other temples of Shiva in this Tamil country. Manikavashakar, a great devotee blessed with Jnana Upadesha of Shiva, could attain the holy abode of Shiva and merge with him as Jyoti. This is the Jnana of the Yoga Marga, where the Supreme is seen as Arupam. The temple is a standing example of Saiva Siddhanta of being one with God. The temple is dedicated to the Bhakta who merge with God and being worshipped as God himself. To the concept-oriented temple that was started by a devotee centuries later, unknown small-time rulers of this region under the great Vijayanagar have contributed their might in developing this holy place as the most wonderful and architectural marvel in this Tamil country. My salutations to these builders and the unknown sculptors of the great Vijayanagar who have given this great temple to us. Thank you. Any questions? I'm prepared to take. Gentlemen, you can unmute yourself and start questioning.
Guru, can I?
Yes, doctor.
How do you date these murals and what has been used in making those beautiful murals?
These are all natural dyes, doctor. They are all natural colors which are being used, and that's how they make this. That's why the color is still retained even today. There
How
are
do you date
how you
the period during which this was done?
see this temple was built in 17th century, and this style of work of these murals is depicting to that 21st century. That's why we say it's a Nayak style of painting. So there are different styles of painting that you can see: Chola period, Pallava period, Nayak period, and so on. So Maratha period, everything is there. But this pertains to the Nayak period very clearly by the way in which we see this wonderful figures there.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you so much, sir.
Who's it? Hello?
Hello. Thank you
Yes.
so much, sir. Oh, it was wonderful. It was absolute delight listening to you with all those pictures.
Thank you. My pleasure. What
Hi,
video?
Guru. Nice
Yes.
presentation as always.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you,
Guru, somebody is asking why are they having that particular Naivedyam, bitter gourd and kirai for the gods? There's a
See,
question.
I cannot say what is the reason. Bitter gourd and kire, mulakire or arakire is offered, cooked form of that, and that was offered along with this pulungarisi. Normally, pulungarisi is considered not considered good for Nivedya because it's already been boiled, and when you reboil it, it loses the what do you call the status of being a Nivedyam. But here, it lose. I mean, that is what is offered as the Nivedya. So pulungal arsi when it is parboiled is made by somebody. So it's already pre-cooked. Pre-cooked food we don't offer it to the god. We do the cooking with all the acharams and then offer it to the god. But here, parboiled rice is what offered, and I do not know what exactly is the reason behind this or anything, but this is the practice in this temple which has been followed for centuries.
Guru, I'm Ganapati Subramaniam here.
Yes.
As usual, a delightful presentation.
Thank you.
Such a uniqueness of the temple, you have brought it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions from anybody
Thank you,
else?
Guru. Bhavani here. Very nice presentation.
Thank you, Bhavani ji.
And I got an invitation from here Atmanatha Kovil Avudaiyar invitation வந்தது. அதுல வந்து